Rain slammed against the windows like fists begging to be let in. The old farmhouse sat swallowed by darkness at the edge of the woods, far from anyone who might care to ask what went on inside. Leela sat on the cold kitchen floor, hugging her knees, staring at the flickering clock. 11:57 p.m. Her skin stung where his hand had found her earlier, and the echo of his voice still haunted the walls. Upstairs, heavy boots paced. She'd learned the rhythm of those steps, the calm before the storm. Every creak meant danger. Every silence meant something worse was coming. Evan wasn't always this way. He used to smile, buy her flowers, whisper promises of forever. But forever turned into control. Control turned into bruises. And now, forever felt like a sentence. She pressed her palm against the bruised side of her face. The window's reflection showed a ghost hollow eyes, trembling lips. Just go, she whispered to herself. Just go. But the door might as well have been miles away. He'd taken her phone, locked the gates, even installed cameras. She was trapped in her own home. Then it came a sound that didn't belong. Not his boots. Glass. Breaking. Leela froze. It came from the front of the house, followed by the low creak of a window opening. Someone was inside. Her heart slammed against her ribs. She crouched behind the counter, breath shallow. A figure slipped through the shadows, a man dressed in black, hood up, face covered. His movements were sharp, deliberate. A thief. Of all nights. Of all places. He crept across the living room, flashlight beam cutting quick lines through the dark. Drawers opened and closed with soft thuds. She stayed still, praying he'd take something and leave. But when she shifted her weight, the floorboard groaned. The thief froze. His head turned toward the kitchen, eyes locked. Hers wide, terrified. His startled, cautious. What did he breathe? Pulling his mask down. He was younger than she expected. Late 20s, rough around the edges, sharp eyes that had seen too much. Who are you? Please, she whispered, trembling. Don't make noise. His confusion deepened. Look, I didn't know anyone was upstairs. A door slammed open. Leela. Evan's voice cracked through the silence like thunder. The thief's eyes widened. That your husband? Please hide. If he finds you, no, he muttered, grabbing her wrist. We're both leaving. Now. What move? The kitchen lights flicked on just as Evan appeared, gun in hand, face twisted in rage. Who the hell are you? The thief stepped forward slowly, hands half raised. Just a guy in the wrong house. You think this is funny? Evan snarled, pointing the gun. You're about to learn what wrong house means. The thief's expression hardened. You really don't want to do that. Leela's heart pounded as the air thickened. Then everything exploded into motion. Evan fired. The shot missed, shattering a cabinet. The thief lunged, slamming into him. They crashed into the table, fists flying. Leela screamed, ducking as the gun skidded across the floor. Go! The thief shouted, shoving Evan back. Leela hesitated, then ran. Bare feet pounded against cold tile, then wet grass as she burst out into the storm. The rain hit her face, washing away tears and blood alike. She ran toward the woods, branches whipping against her skin. Behind her shouts, chaos, another gunshot. Then someone grabbed her hand. She screamed until she saw who it was. The thief, breathless, mud splattered. Alive? You're welcome, he said between breaths. For what? Stealing you. She almost laughed, but it came out as a broken sob. You didn't plan to. He cut in, glancing over his shoulder. But I don't leave people behind. They ran deeper into the trees until the house lights disappeared. Only the rain and the night remained. Finally, when her legs gave out, he slowed and let her lean against a tree. You hurt? He asked, crouching down. She shook her head. No, not anymore. He studied her in silence, mud-streaked face, trembling hands, eyes that refused to give up. What's your name? Leela. Kai, he said, straightening. All right, Leela, you've got a choice. I can drop you at a hospital, or we disappear for a while until he stops looking. Disappear? Trust me. He smirked faintly. I'm good at that. She hesitated. Everything in her life had been controlled by fear, but right now, fear felt like freedom. Okay, she whispered. Then disappear me. He nodded once, pulling up his hood again. Then let's go. Before he brings company, she followed him down the dirt path, the rain masking their tracks. For the first time in years, she didn't care where she was going, only that it was away. The storm roared above them, but inside her chest, something small and fragile began to flicker back to life. Hope. As they vanished into the night, she thought of the strange irony. She'd spent years praying for someone to rescue her. She just never imagined her savior would be a thief. The world beyond the woods was quiet, except for the rain whispering through the trees. Kai led the way, flashlight barely cutting through the dark. Every few seconds, he'd glance back to make sure Leela was still behind him. She was pale, soaked to the bone, barefoot and shivering, but her eyes burned with something fierce, something alive. After 20 minutes, they reached an old pickup truck hidden under a tarp near the road. Kai ripped it off, tossed his wet bag in the back, and opened the passenger door. "Get in." Leela hesitated, staring at him. "You steal everything?" "Just the expensive stuff," he said with a half smirk. "Now move." She climbed in, trembling from cold and adrenaline. The interior smelled like rain and oil. Kai started the engine. It coughed, then roared to life. He drove fast but careful, eyes darting between the mirror and the road. "Where are we going?" she asked softly. "Somewhere safe." "You have a safe place?" "Couple. None are pretty. Pretty doesn't matter," she whispered. "Only safe." He didn't answer. The windshield wipers groaned as the rain thickened. They drove through the night, miles of empty highway and dark forest. When they finally stopped, it was at a small cabin hidden by trees, the kind you'd never find unless you were looking for it. Kai killed the engine. "We can stay here till morning." "Whose place is this?" "Used to be mine," he said quietly, "before I stopped pretending to be someone else." Leela didn't ask what that meant. He unlocked the door and flicked the light on. Dust danced in the air. The cabin was small, one couch, a tiny kitchen, a single bed in the corner. Safe. She stepped inside slowly, as if afraid it might vanish. Kai tossed her a towel. "You should dry off." She nodded, her hands still shaking. "Thank you," she said, voice small but sincere. "You didn't have to help me. Didn't plan to," he muttered, sitting on the arm of the couch. "But once I saw your face," he stopped himself. "Didn't seem right to leave you." Leela stared at him for a long moment. "He'll come after me," she whispered. "He's rich, connected. He doesn't stop." Kai leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "Then he'll have to find you first. And I don't make that easy." "Why risk yourself?" she asked. "You don't even know me." "I don't have to," he said. "I just know what it looks like when someone's desperate to get out." Silence settled between them, thick but not uncomfortable. She looked around the cabin. A photo on the wall caught her eye. A woman with long dark hair smiling beside Kai, both of them younger, happier. Leela pointed. "Your wife?" His expression darkened. "Was. She died." "I'm sorry." "Don't be," he said softly. "Wasn't your fault." She wrapped the towel tighter around her shoulders. For the first time, she saw something in him beyond the danger, grief, buried deep. A man running from more than the law. Hours passed in an easy quiet. Leela dozed off on the couch, exhaustion finally winning. Kai sat by the window, watching the rain. He couldn't sleep. Every sound outside could be cops, or worse, Evan's men. By dawn, the storm had stopped. When Leela woke, the room was filled with pale morning light. Kai was gone. Panic surged through her until the door creaked open and he stepped in carrying 2 steaming cups of coffee. "Relax," he said, seeing her tense up. "Just got supplies." "You came back," she said, more to herself than him. He raised an eyebrow. "You thought I wouldn't. Everyone leaves." He stared at her for a long moment, then set a cup in front of her. "Then I guess I'm not everyone." She took a sip, flinching at the heat. "You could still leave," she said quietly. "This isn't your problem. Maybe I'm just not good at ignoring problems. Or maybe you need saving too," she said softly. That caught him off guard. He looked away. "We should move tonight. The truck's too noticeable." "Move where?" "A safe house in the city. Friend owes me a favor." "Friend or a criminal?" "Same thing," he said dryly. She smiled faintly, the first real one he'd seen. For a moment, the air between them felt lighter. That night, they packed what little they had, some food, a map Kashka had stashed under the floorboard. As he locked the door behind them, Leela looked back once. Feels strange, she said. What does? Being free. I don't even know who I am without fear. You'll figure it out, he said, starting the truck. Freedom's messy, but it's real. The drive into town was silent, both lost in thought. But as they passed a roadside gas station, Leela froze. A police car was parked outside. A flyer taped to the window caught her eye, a photo of her face with the words missing person, possible kidnapping. Her heart stopped. Kai! He saw it too. Damn it. He reported me missing. She whispered. He's smart, Kai said, pulling his hood lower. He knows the cops will do his dirty work. What do we do? Keep driving. But if they think you kidnapped me, then I'm already guilty, he said flatly. We just need to stay ahead of the story. The tension in the truck thickened. Sirens wailed in the distance, faint but getting closer. Leela's hands trembled in her lap. You could drop me off, she said. They'll believe you if you say I forced you. Kai shot her a sharp look. You think I'd hand you back to that man? You don't even know me. I know enough, he snapped. You're not going back there. Not while I'm breathing. She turned away, tears stinging her eyes. Why are you doing this? He hesitated, then said quietly, because once, someone saved me when I didn't deserve it. Guess I'm paying it forward. The sirens grew louder. Kai swerved off the main road, cutting down an abandoned service path. The truck bounced over gravel and mud until they stopped behind an old warehouse. He killed the lights. We'll lay low here, he said. Leela exhaled shakily. You're insane. Takes one to save one, he muttered with a grin. She couldn't help but laugh through her tears. It was wild, terrifying, but she wasn't afraid anymore. As night fell, they hid in the shadows of the warehouse, sharing a stale sandwich and silence. Outside, the world hunted them. Inside, something fragile began to grow trust. When she finally drifted to sleep beside the broken crates, Kai watched her face soften in the dim light. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but for the first time in years, he wanted to protect something that wasn't stolen. He looked out at the dark horizon, where sirens flickered faintly in the distance, and whispered to himself, You stole her, Kai. Now don't let anyone steal her back. The night bled into morning like ink on water. Somewhere beyond the trees, sirens echoed and then faded into silence. Leela woke to the sound of Kai moving around the warehouse. He was checking his gun, refilling a duffel bag with food and cash. She sat up slowly, her body aching from sleeping on the concrete floor. Did you sleep at all? She asked. He didn't look up. Not much. You think they're still looking? They won't stop, he said flatly. He's rich. Cops, lawyers, maybe even private trackers. You're not missing anymore, Leela. Your property that ran away. The words cut deep. But she didn't argue. So, what now? We keep moving, he said, zipping the bag. South. I know a guy who can get us new IDs. You sound like you've done this before. Because I have. She studied him quietly. You said someone saved you once. Who? He stopped packing, jaw tightening. A man I used to work for. Taught me how to survive. I thought he cared. But he used me. Turned me into what I am. A thief. A ghost, he said bitterly. Someone who doesn't exist. Maybe that's not all you are, she said softly. He gave a small, disbelieving laugh. You don't even know me. I know you risked your life for a stranger. That doesn't make me good, he muttered. Maybe not, but it makes you better than him. For the first time, he looked at her, really looked. The bruises on her face were fading, but her eyes had strength now. Something inside him shifted, something dangerous and human. Let's go, he said, roughly. Before I start thinking too much, the drive south was quiet. The kind of silence that hums with words unspoken. The world blurred by fields, rain, and long empty roads. At a rest stop, Kai parked near the back and killed the engine. Stay here, he said. I'll grab food. I'm not a child, Kai. Didn't say you were. Just don't want your picture on a gas station camera. She sighed but stayed put. Watching him walk away, she realized how much She trusted him already, and how terrifying that was. He returned 10 minutes later with 2 sandwiches and a newspaper folded under his arm. He tossed it on her lap. The front page made her blood run cold. Fugitive kidnaps wealthy businessman's wife, $50,000 reward for information. Her photo stared back at her, next to a blurry still of Kai from a traffic camera. "He's framing you," she whispered. "He always wins." Kai didn't react. "He won't win this time. You don't understand," she said, her voice cracking. "He knows how to twist everything. He made me believe I was worthless, that no one would ever believe me. Then we'll make them believe," Kai said quietly. "But not yet." "When?" "When I have proof." "Proof of what?" "That the monster you ran from isn't just abusive, he's dirty. I've seen his name before. Money laundering, trafficking, he hides it well, but not from everyone." Leela stared at him, realization dawning. "You were stealing from him." He finally looked at her. "Yeah, that's why I was there that night. I was after his files, not you. So saving me was an accident." At first, his voice dropped, but not anymore. Her heart skipped. She didn't know what scared her more, the danger they were in, or how his voice softened when he said it. They drove for hours, staying off main roads. By nightfall, they reached an old auto shop on the outskirts of a dying town. The neon sign buzzed weakly. "Miller's Repairs." Kai parked out back and knocked twice on a rusted door. It opened to reveal a short man with gray hair and grease-stained hands. "Kai," he said warily. "Didn't think I'd see you again. Need a favor, Miller?" "2 IDs untraceable." The man frowned. "That'll cost. Money's not a problem." Miller's gaze shifted to Leela. "And who's the girl?" "Someone who deserves a new life," Kai said evenly. You always had a soft spot for lost things. You gonna help or not?" Miller sighed. "Give me a few hours." He disappeared into the back room. Leela sank into a chair, exhaustion washing over her. "How do you even know people like this?" "Because I used to be worse than them." "You don't seem worse." "That's the trick," he said with a half smile. "You never do, until it's too late." Hours later, Miller returned with 2 envelopes. "New names, new faces. You're ghosts now." Kai handed him a stack of bills and nodded his thanks. They left through the back door, stepping into the cool night air. Leela looked at her new Clara Jameson. "I don't feel like her," she said quietly. "You will," Kai replied. "Give it time." "And you?" "Daniel," he said. "Never liked the name, but it'll do." They both smiled faintly. Then headlights flashed down the street. A black SUV. Leela's blood turned to ice. "Kai!" He saw it too. Inside, he hissed, pulling her back into the alley. The SUV slowed, tinted windows glinting. A man stepped out, tall, clean suit, calm smile. Leela's breath caught. "That's Evan's driver." "Figures," Kai muttered. "They're tracking Miller." "He'll kill him," she whispered. "Then we don't let him." Kai reached for his gun. Leela grabbed his arm. "No killing." "Please?" "Then you got a better plan." "Yeah," she said, her voice shaking but firm. "Let me talk to him." "Leela, he thinks I'm still afraid." "Let's use that." Before he could stop her, she stepped into the light. The driver's eyes widened. "Mrs. Hartwell? Thank God you're alive." "Evan sent you?" she asked softly. "He's been worried sick. Ma'am, he said that man forced you." "Liar," she snapped, voice rising. "He forced me. He's the reason I ran." The man froze, caught off guard. Behind him, Kai appeared, silent as a shadow, pressing his gun against the driver's side. "You're going to tell your boss she's gone," Kai said coldly. "Vanished. You never saw her. You understand?" The driver nodded frantically. Kai lowered the weapon and stepped back. "Go." The SUV peeled off into the dark. Leela exhaled shakily. "You shouldn't have let him go." "Dead men talk louder," Kai said. "He'll buy us time." They stood in silence, breathing the same cold air, realizing how close they'd come to being found. "You okay?" he asked. "I will be," she said. "You?" "Getting there." For a long moment, they just looked at each other, 2 fugitives bound by something stronger than fear. Finally, she whispered, "Thank you." "For what?" "Stealing me." He smiled, small and real. "Best thing I ever took." In the distance, thunder rumbled again, but this time, Neither of them moved. For the first time, running didn't feel like running away, it felt like running towards something. The storm returned before sunrise, and with it came the feeling that their time was running out. Kai and Leela drove south until the land turned flat and the air smelled of sea salt. They stopped at a rundown motel near the docks. One room, one flickering light, one night to breathe. Leela sat on the bed, staring at her reflection in the mirror. The bruises had faded, but she still looked haunted. You ever wonder if this is worth it? She asked quietly. Running, hiding, living like ghosts. Kai sat by the window, cleaning his gun. It's worth it if you make it to the other side. And what's there? A life that's yours, he said. No one else's. She smiled faintly. You sound like you've practiced that line. Maybe I needed to believe it once too. He reached into his bag, pulling out a flash drive wrapped in black tape. This is what I went to steal the night I found you. What's on it? Evidence, he said. Bank records, shell companies, photos, everything your husband hides behind his charities and luxury. He owns people, politicians, even cops. Leela's heart pounded. You're saying he's not just abusive, he's criminal. Exactly. If we can get this to the right hands, he loses everything. Then why haven't you? He looked out the window. Because everyone I trust is gone. She stood, crossing the room slowly. Then trust me. He turned toward her. Their faces were inches apart. Rain tapped against the glass like it was holding its breath. You don't know what that means, he murmured. Then teach me, she said. Something fragile broke inside him. He'd spent his whole life running from connection, but her eyes, tired, bruised, unbroken, pulled him in. He wanted to look away. He didn't. All right, he said finally. We'll end this together. By morning, they were back on the road, heading for the coast. Kai had a contact there, someone who could leak the files safely. But by noon, he noticed a black car following them in the rearview mirror. We've been spotted, he said. How? Doesn't matter. Hold on. He hit the gas, cutting off an exit, weaving through traffic. The car behind them sped up, matching every turn. Bullets shattered the back window. Leela screamed as glass rained. Down. Get down! Kai swerved off the highway, tires screeching onto a dirt road leading toward the docks. The pursuing car followed until Kai braked hard, spun, and aimed straight for the pier. Kai, trust me. The truck slammed through a fence and skidded to a stop at the edge of the water. He grabbed the flash drive, shoved it into Leela's hand. If I don't make it, don't you dare, she cut in. We make it together. He smiled faintly. You're stubborn. You taught me. The black car stopped 30 feet away. 4 men stepped out, armed. Evan stepped out last. He looked calm, immaculate, like he wasn't the devil in disguise. Leela, he called, voice smooth. Come home, before he ruins you. You already ruined me, she shouted. Evan sighed. You think anyone will believe your little story? That a thief saved you? They'll see you as complicit, broken, damaged goods. I'm not yours anymore, she said, trembling but steady. Kai stepped forward. You should have left her alone, and you should have stayed in the shadows where you belong, Evan sneered. Now you'll both disappear. He raised his gun. Kai didn't wait. He fired first. Chaos exploded, gunfire, shouting, smoke. Kai took one down, then another, but a shot grazed his shoulder. He stumbled, clutching the wound. Leela ran to him, dragging him behind a crate. We can't win this, she cried. We don't have to, he grunted. We just have to end it. He pulled a flare from his pocket, eyes darting to the leaking fuel near Evan's car. When I light this, run. No. Leela, no more running, she shouted. We finish this together. She grabbed the flare from him, struck it, and threw it toward the car. The explosion ripped through the pier, fire lighting up the night. Evan fell, screaming, as his empire went up in flames. Leela and Kai dove into the water just before the shock wave hit. The world turned to fire and salt. When they surfaced, coughing, the dock was gone. Evan's men were gone. The storm swallowed the rest. They made it to shore hours later, limping and drenched, clothes torn and bloodied. The city lights flickered in the distance. Kai could barely stand, but Leela supported him, one arm around his waist. We did it, she whispered. Not yet, he said weakly. We still have to release the files. Then let's finish it. They found an all-night internet cafe near the docks. Kai slumped into a chair, connecting the flash drive. His hands shook from blood loss. "Here," he said, nodding at the screen. "You hit send." Leela stared at the message drafted to a dozen journalists, all attached with proof of Evan's crimes. "This ends it," she whispered. "For good. Press it." She clicked send. The email disappeared into the digital void. It was over. Or beginning. She turned to him. His face was pale, eyes half shut. "Kai?" He smiled faintly. "Guess I'm not bulletproof after all. Don't say that." "You're free now, Leela. That's all that matters." "No," she said, tears filling her eyes. "You matter too." Sirens wailed outside, real ones this time. Not for them, but for the fire still raging at the docks. She ripped a strip of fabric from her sleeve, pressing it to his wound. "Stay with me, always," he whispered. Then, his eyes closed. She screamed his name, shaking him, but he didn't respond. The door burst open, paramedics rushing in, cops shouting. Someone pulled her away as they lifted him onto a stretcher. Everything blurred. Flashing lights, voices, questions, then silence. 2 days later, Leela sat in a hospital room, watching the morning news. Evan Hartwell, prominent businessman, arrested on multiple charges of abuse, corruption, and trafficking. Evidence anonymously leaked exposes years of crimes. She smiled through tears. It worked. A knock on the door. She turned. Kai stood there, bandaged, pale, alive. "Heard you send the email," he said with a crooked smile. "You scared me," she whispered. "Not my first time." She crossed the room and hugged him. For the first time, it wasn't desperation, it was peace. "So what now?" he asked. "We start over," she said. "No running, no fear, new names, new lives?" "No," she said. "Real ones." He smiled, brushing a strand of wet hair from her face. "You sure?" "You stole me from my past," she said softly. "Guess it's only fair I steal you from yours." Outside, the city woke to headlines of justice. Inside, two broken souls finally stopped running. For the first time, the thief didn't want to disappear, and the girl who'd lived in fear finally believed she was free. The end thief stole me from abuser, a story of escape, redemption, and how sometimes the person who breaks the law is the one who sets you free.